Hey guys, this is Tom Hanks, and I have just returned from the test drive of that BMW 530D, and I have come to a conclusion. So I prepared a little something, so we can go a little bit over the pros and cons of both of the cars that I drove today. So here you have a picture of the Mercedes that I drove earlier today, the E320 CDI of the year 2005. Basically, I just realized that on this one I didn't change the color to pros, for pros to green and for cons to red, but that'll be in the other picture. Anyway, it's got a nicer interior. It has more comfortable leather wrapped seats, and it has a little bit of like wood trim and whatnot. It's just such a pleasant place to sit. Just generally the comfort, the ride quality, and the fact that it is an automatic and you don't need to really do much work. It's I'm imagining it's going to be an amazing car for long distance cruising. Then it's also easy to drive, again because of the automatic gearbox, and also because of the very light steering weight. And it's pretty, that generation of the E-Class, the W211, is pretty much unkillable. I've done some research on this, and pretty much all sources I've read up on tend to agree that the E211 is one of the most reliable cars you can buy. It's basically Japanese levels of reliability, if you want to put it that way. Cons: the gearbox, not just because I'm not used to automatics, just generally it was a little bit clunky. I was expecting a little bit more refinement from this 7-speed gearbox, which is supposed to be quicker and smoother than compared to the then outgoing 5-speed Mercedes gearbox. Personally, I'm just not convinced. It feels like it's just draining the engine's power too much. Weight, of course, this weighs pretty much 1800 kilograms, which is like 150 kilograms more than the BMW, and you just sense that. I mean, oftentimes it's a good thing when it feels like you're ironing out all the bumps and whatnot, but just generally it feels a little lazier. Looks, I don't know, it just looks older. It just does not look like a modern car the way that the BMW does. It just looks its age, whereas the BMW kind of looks like it could be a new car. The economy, both cars have an onboard computer that shows economy on the central display, and on the test drive with the Mercedes, it was at 11.2 liters per 100 kilometers, and on the BMW it showed 7.3 liters per 100 kilometers. So even though I said in the beginning, when we started talking about me buying a car, or in the beginning it was also more like leasing a new car, but I said that economy isn't a huge concern. But if all other things were equal, I choose the more economical car, and 4 liters per 100 kilometers of difference is significant. It's a meaningful difference that'll change running costs quite noticeably. And then last point I didn't like about this Mercedes was the brakes. It had strong brakes. Don't get me wrong, but they engaged like so soon. Like you just gotta tap the brakes slightly, and they would pretty much stop you with almost full force that they can give you. And I don't like that behavior on such an everyday commuter like this car. Basically, so that's the pros and cons I have for the Mercedes, and we'll move on to the pros and cons of the BMW. Okay, here we go. Isn't this graphics beautiful? With the BMW, pros: engine. Even though it's only 7 horsepower more powerful than the Mercedes, making 231 compared to 224 horsepower, it feels a lot stronger. That's probably, and we're getting into the second point, it's probably because it's not held back by the gearbox, which in this case is a 6-speed manual, and I just prefer it. If Mercedes is pretty much top of the board when it comes to automatic transmission, then the same thing is true for BMW with manuals. Like the gear shifts are just so intuitive. The gear lever has a very nice weight to it. It's not too light. It's not too heavy. The shift ways are pretty short, and it just feels satisfying to shift the gears manually in this car. The steering is also better weighted, and it's more precise and gives you better feedback through the steering wheel. I like that. That's just what BMWs in general are just better at than Mercedes. At least, well, I don't know how it is for the new generations of the cars. I haven't driven them, but previously it was always the case. The brakes, they are just probably equally as powerful as compared to the Mercedeses, but they build up the stopping power more gradually. So if I only tap the brake pedal slightly, it'll just give me a little bit of brake bite, and if I hit the brake pedal hard, it'll stop hard. Looks, I don't know. Maybe on the picture it's not as impressive, but in flash, it looks like it could have come from the dealership yesterday. It looks like it could have been a new car that was bought like yesterday, but it's actually 10 years old. So I love that about the E60 generation. It just doesn't look its age. It looks like it's just a fresh car, you know. And economy, I've mentioned before, it uses quite a bit less fuel than the Mercedes. At least that's what the board computer said. Obviously, I didn't have a long enough test drive on either of the cars to really like have a long test drive and then go fill it up and calculate the economy. I didn't have the opportunity to do that, but yeah, it just appeared to be a lot more economical. Cons. The interior is like mainly plastic on a dash, like almost exclusively plastic. Obviously you get some nice leather wrapping on the gear lever and whatnot, and the seats are comfortable but not as like soft and well bolstered as they are in the Mercedes. Aesthetic imperfections, what I mean is on this particular car there are some slight flaws, like a few smaller paint chips on the side mirrors and a few small dents on the bonnet. So that would need to be corrected on the BMW after I purchase it. And that is not the case for the Mercedes. I couldn't find a single dent or a scratch on the Mercedes. And the BMW needs new winter tires, whereas the Mercedes doesn't. So there is some more money to be spent after the purchase on the BMW compared to the Mercedes, which comes with like good condition winter tires, doesn't have any like paint chips, scratches, whatnot. And the Mercedes would cost 10,000 euros, whereas the BMW would cost 10,500. I still think that the BMW is gonna be my choice because I just love the way it feels. I just love the way it drives. Immediately when I got into it, I just felt at home. You know, it wasn't like in the Mercedes where I basically felt like I'm in the wrong place or in a completely different place. In a BMW, everything felt so intuitive. That may have to do with the manual gearbox, or also because like BMW dashboards and interiors are generally driver oriented, which is not the case with the Mercedes, even though it has a good interior. but I don't know, everything just felt so right about driving it, so satisfying, so intuitive, and again, the engine felt so much more potent than the Mercedes, and overall, I just think I gotta go with the BMW. I'm just maybe I'm biased because I've owned the BMW before, but I just prefer the way it looks. I prefer the way it drives, and apparently it also uses less fuel. So I think that's gonna be my choice. And well, I not only think, I've actually decided already. I'm gonna be buying it next week. I'm gonna get it delivered next Friday, so that's gonna be awesome. And well, that pretty much sums up the second part of this Let's Talk. Hope you guys enjoyed. Obviously, feel free to discuss everything you want to discuss in the comments. And yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you next time.